Do you ever catch yourself saying, that's just how I am, or I've always been this way? I used to think that too until I realized what was really going on. You can save yourself years of trial and error by watching this video. Because in this video, I'm breaking down 5 subtle beliefs that might be keeping you stuck and how you can start rewiring them right now. Owning your personality is great and self awareness is powerful, but that's just how I am can quietly become a limiting belief if you're not willing to take off the mask when it no longer fits. You may be calling yourself an overthinker, a procrastinator, or lazy, even though deep down you know it's not who you really are. And maybe you just don't know how to begin changing it, so you think that accepting it is the way to go. I've been there, and I realized those patterns were just surface level signals of deeper beliefs I'd been carrying for years. So they ended up shaping my identity and limited what I believed I was capable of. And without even realizing it, it always made me second guess myself, play small, and relive patterns I had already outgrown. And honestly, these beliefs might not totally be hidden. Trust that part of you that probably already knows something feels off. But because they're so familiar, they just keep running in the background, rarely questioned or challenged. And I'm here to help you start noticing them, and more importantly, show you how I began shifting them so you can too. Number 1, trying to be someone else. This kept me stuck for so long and I didn't even realize it. I kept asking myself, why can't I just execute the perfect version of what I think I'm supposed to be? Someone who's educated, responsible, and successful in their field. This idea was buried so deep in my psyche, I honestly thought something was wrong with me when my path wasn't looking like it was expected to. Like, I've been in data for 7 years. I have a background in software engineering. Shouldn't I be leading a big team by now? Shouldn't I be well on my way to that FIRE lifestyle? And that disconnect just made me question myself instead of questioning the belief itself. I mean, I did all the right things by the book. I got the degree, I stacked the skills, I followed the steps, did everything it takes to be seen as a competent, capable, successful person. But there has always been this persistent pull to share what I was learning and going through, and to really speak to those things and express myself. And when I looked around at others in my field, no one was doing what I felt pulled to do. No one was showing up on camera, talking openly about the struggles behind the scenes. It was all about technical topics, how I broke into tech, which boot camps to take, how to land a 6-figure job. And to be clear, I'm not dismissing that. Those are important and helpful topics too, for some people. And for some people, teaching and guiding others through the world of tech is their calling, and that path lights them up. But for me, even though I have the same credentials, I don't think I quite share the same passion for teaching tech. Just because I could teach what I knew, it didn't mean I had to. I wanted to talk about something deeper, and I had to learn that was valid too. So for the longest time, I kept telling myself the story that, people like me don't do things like this. Maybe that kind of path is meant for someone else and not me. But eventually that urge to speak and own my voice, it got louder than my fear of not fitting in. And I had to make a choice. Keep playing a role that looked right on the outside, or show up as myself even if it was messy, awkward, or didn't make sense to anyone else. And that's kind of how I ended up here. I'm not perfect by any means, but I am present, showing up fully as myself. And here's why the belief that your path should look like someone else keeps you stuck. You keep chasing someone else's vibe or version of success and then wonder why it never quite feels right or why you're not making any progress. It's because it was never yours to begin with. So here's how I reframed it. I remind myself, I'd rather be cringe than boring. And it took me a while to fully own my story, but once I started leaning into and sharing my real experiences, the messy career pivots, the identity questions, the part that didn't look impressive on paper, that's when something shifted. And that's when I noticed people actually started paying attention. It did feel scary and vulnerable at first, but honestly, I think that's where the power is for all of us. So here are some reminders for you. Inspiration is great, but imitation will drain you. It's one thing to admire someone's career, but trying to emulate their style or their path just leaves you disconnected from your own, and we all have unique paths. Number 2, caring too much about what other people think. Do you ever catch yourself thinking, I know this is how it needs to be, even if it doesn't really feel true to who you are? Now, this one's a little bit tricky because it doesn't always feel like fear Sometimes it just feels like you're being practical, like, being a good son, a good daughter, partner, employee, or a friend. And one of the biggest reasons we cling to the script is because it feels safe, familiar, and predictable. Now, what do I mean by the script? So, the script is this silent set of expectations that tells you who you should be and how your life should look. The script is the default storyline that society hands you, often shaped by culture, family, school, and media. Get an engineering degree, get a good job that pays six figures, buy a house, do everything right. And that script works for some people. There's safety in it, and stability is super important. But for me, at a certain point, it started to feel a bit restrictive because deep down, I knew I wanted something different, to explore my voice and to share things that felt meaningful and to build something of my own. And owning your individuality can feel lonely, and it is hard. Like, is it just me who wants to take this weird, unconventional path? But here's the truth, there's at least one other person out there who's had a similar journey. Maybe they're not in your immediate circle, but they exist. So I went looking and I found them. Their paths to this realization may have not looked exactly like this on the surface, but the driving force for more authenticity, alignment, and freedom, that was the same. And yes, owning who you are will make some people uncomfortable. But you know what? Your quirks, your contradictions, your weird sense of humor, your layered identity, it's all part of what makes you real. And if you keep shaping yourself around what others might think, if you're always trying not to disappoint, or if you're afraid to do something that people like you aren't supposed to do, then you'll never fully own your voice. And that's what keeps you stuck. Here's why caring too much about other people's opinions of you keeps you stuck. It's because you spend your time, your energy performing instead of expressing. You're constantly editing yourself to be liked, approved, or to fit in. But it is exhausting, and it's simply not you. The more you shrink yourself, the more you lose touch with your purpose and what you actually want. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I say no? And do I respect people more or less when they honor their own boundaries? Because here's how I look at it. Most people are too focused on themselves to judge you the way you think they are. And even if they do, they'll move on. Or worse, fine, they'll misunderstand you. And that's okay, because you're the one who has to live with your choices, not them. And you know what? People who do respect or resonate with you will understand. Okay, those were some pretty hard-hitting realizations, but I think they needed to be said. And that brings me to the next one. Believing your career should be linear. Do you ever feel like your career isn't where it should be by now? We're told directly or indirectly that a successful career moves in a clean upward line, something like enter the door, get a promotion, get a bigger title, make more money, and find ultimate fulfillment. But real careers, they zigzag, they move sideways, backwards, and sometimes they can just stall. And that's not failure, that's reality. Believing that your career must always be on an upward trajectory is one of the biggest beliefs that can keep you stuck in a loop of self-doubt. For the longest time, I kept asking myself, why am I not further along? Why hasn't that promotion happened yet? What am I missing? Here's the truth. Sometimes your lack of progress at work has nothing to do with you. There might not be an opening. There might not be a business case for a new role. There might not be someone advocating for you behind closed doors. And maybe the decision might have already been made and you just haven't been told. And that gap between what you expected and what's actually happening, it can create a lot of self-doubt, frustration, and quiet resentment if you let it. Especially after 2022, I think the market's been pretty unpredictable. There's been a lot of changes with AI entering the landscape. And yes, job movement feels riskier than ever. But believing that your career has to follow a straight line, that's a setup for burnout. It creates this false sense of urgency, like you're falling behind even when you're not. And it'll eat away at your confidence if you let it. And why this belief keeps you stuck is because you subconsciously keep comparing your journey to someone else's timeline and convince yourself that you're behind. Here's how I'm reframing it. Instead of chasing a perfectly linear path, I ask myself, how can I leverage where I am right now? Can I use my current role to develop new skills, take on side projects, or build relationships that open other doors? Taking a lateral move or stepping back isn't failure, it's strategy, especially if it gets you closer to what actually matters to you. Do I have the runway to make a shift? If the answer is yes, build a cushion, make a plan, and trust yourself to pivot when it's time. Remember, your career isn't a ladder, it's a jungle gym full of detours, experiment, and creative moves that still lead you where you're meant to go. So instead of clinging to what should happen next, clear space for what could happen next on your terms. And remember this, your direction matters more than your speed. Number 4, treating learning like a purchase and not a practice. Do you ever feel like you've bought the courses, read the books, and you're still getting nowhere? And you're thinking, what's the point of even trying anymore? Here's the thing. You may be someone who is open to spending money on courses or books, but the real challenge is committing to the learning. How many half finished courses are sitting in your inbox right now? I've been there too. You sign up with good intentions, maybe with even a little rush of motivation, but without a clear purpose or any real follow through lined up, it just becomes more digital clutter and more mental clutter. Another thing you're meant to get to hanging at the back of your mind. And that's where the shift needs to happen. It's not just about buying the learning, it's about showing up for it. It's also easy to get swept away in what's trending. Oh, everyone's learning how to build AI agents. I guess I should too. But pause for a second and ask, do I actually want this? Does it align with who I'm becoming? Because learning out of fear of missing out or trying to keep up with what everyone else is doing just leads to burnout. Now, if something sparks curiosity and it's low risk, sure, go ahead and explore it. Sometimes the ROI isn't obvious right away, but there's usually at least one insight you can take with you from that course. And if it's not a great fit, let it go. You don't have to force yourself to stick it out just because you paid for it. You can trust your gut and move on. That's not failure, that's discernment. So over time, I realized I'm way more successful with learning when I take some time to think and get clear on two things. What do I actually want to get out of this? And where will I apply it immediately? That application piece, it's everything. And like I said, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So if you're curious and it's within your means, explore it. But also trust yourself to pause and ask, is this actually aligned with where I want to go? Curiosity is powerful, but discernment is what keeps you from chasing things that don't really fit. And here's why this perspective of looking at learning like a purchase keeps you stuck. Subconsciously, you want the result, the growth, and the clarity, and the transformation. But without the time, energy, or depth it takes to get there. You're treating learning like a shortcut instead of a skill to be practiced. Here's how I reframed it. Learning is growth, but without intention, it's just consumption. Viewing it as an investment is how you can stretch your mind, build range, and expand your possibilities. And yes, it's true that the right course, mentor, or book can literally change your life, but only if you show up for it with intention, not simply because you paid for it. Okay, last but not the least, all or nothing thinking. Have you ever avoided starting a project because you feel like you suck at it? Or worse, that you can never be as good as someone else at it? Yeah, this one's especially for those people. So this basically keeps you from starting, or you find yourself procrastinating or obsessing over every detail and wonder why you're not making any progress. It shows up in the small moments too. You miss one workout or eat off plan, screw it, I'll start again on Monday. It's 12:10, I'll wait till 12:30 to start studying. I mean, I've done this too. Right, at first, these delays seem harmless, but over time they stack up. And the worst part is they bleed into everything else. And over time, you're training your brain to believe, if I'm not good at something, I shouldn't even bother. And you know what? You usually have a reference point to what looks good, and you're comparing or holding yourself to that standard. And you just feel like you're wasting your time if you don't meet that standard immediately. This is the biggest killer of consistency. But I'm here to tell you that none of this is actually true. It's all in your mind. Here's what actually works. You get clarity by doing, you find alignment by doing, you only learn what's good for you through repetitions and not by sitting on the sidelines waiting to feel ready.
Just do it.
If you're struggling to stay consistent, really ask yourself, is this something I actually want or something I feel like I should want? And if it aligns with your values, if the mission excites you even just a little bit, then give yourself permission to do it messy. Because your first few tries aren't supposed to be perfect. Starting this YouTube channel, it obviously didn't happen overnight. I only got here because I let myself make imperfect and messy things first. I hit publish even when I felt like it was cringe. And you know what? Slowly, I think I'm getting better at it. So why this all or nothing thinking keeps you stuck is because you think you need to be perfect or ready to start. But starting is the only way to get better. So this belief will rob you of the progress, clarity, and happiness that only shows up after you start. Ask yourself, Have I ever learned anything meaningful without sucking at it first? And would I expect perfection from a friend who's just starting out? Exactly. So give yourself that same grace. And here's how I would reframe it. Progress beats perfection every time. You don't get better by waiting, you get better by doing. And mastery isn't about being flawless, it's about showing up over and over, even when it's messy. Everyone fails. That's not a sign that you're doing it wrong, it's a sign that you're involved. Learn, adjust, and keep going. So, in this video, we unpacked 5 beliefs that could be keeping you stuck, and I walked you through how I started challenging each one. None of this was an overnight fix. They took time, awareness, and a whole lot of unlearning. But once I started questioning those beliefs, things began to shift. My confidence, my direction, and my ability to actually move forward instead of just thinking about it. Even if one of these beliefs resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what landed. And if you want me to go deeper on any of them or cover more beliefs like this, just drop a suggestion below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.